So recently, we have had a pretty fresh missing person case, lost hiker case that involved a grandmother, a couple of her grandchildren, and one of their friends that got lost up in the Caesar's Head area. So we got a lot of emails and a lot of questions this week about how search and rescue works and what does it take to have so many resources poured out on something like this. And they were missing close to 24 hours, and the weather was changing. So pretty serious situation. So very proud to have Lieutenant David Picone here with us today, and he's going to answer some questions for us. So,
yes,
Lieutenant, welcome.
Thank you.
And if you would, just kind of just introduce yourself to all those folks that may be listening or watching, and tell us a little bit about your career and kind of how you got to where you are now with your role with search and rescue.
Okay. So I've been at Greenville County my whole career. I'll be starting my 19th year in February of 26. So I started off in uniform patrol like everybody does. I wanted to get into investigations. So about 5 years into uniform patrol, I went into property crimes. Worked there for a couple of years. From there, I moved over to crimes against children. I got promoted to a master deputy. I did that for a little bit of time. Then I moved over. I really wanted to do homicide. That's what I always wanted to do. So I moved over to armed robbery for a little bit of time, and then I went into homicide. Investigated homicide for almost 5 years. And then I ended up getting promoted to sergeant over violent crimes. And from there, I just got promoted recently to lieutenant in uniform patrol. So now I'm over Charlie Platoon.
And with all that, your position on search and rescue is voluntary.
Yeah, so when I went to missing persons, they asked me to be on the search and rescue because I was over missing persons. And
Right.
search and rescue, obviously, you deal with missing people.
Well, you're known as a pretty tenacious investigator. Also a hostage negotiator.
Yes, sir.
So you get a lot of after-hours calls and a lot of off-duty type calls that you have to come back in and deal with and do a great job. And we're very proud to have you represent the Greenville County Sheriff's Office today and discuss search and rescue. If you can, walk us through what happens from the moment a missing person report comes in. And we know how it kind of used to go. I mean, we've been through a lot of transformations in the last 5 years of how we respond to missing persons. But let's talk about currently what would happen if somebody calls in a missing person today and the weather's 40 degrees and kind of the same situation we had with the hikers up on Caesar's Head. How does that play out?
So obviously, with poor weather conditions, a lot of people aren't prepared as they should be when they go out hiking, things like that. So it's very important. So typically what will happen is, in an instance like this, uniform patrol will usually be the first people to respond to it. Mm-hmm. So we'll usually give uniform patrol a little bit of time to locate these people. A lot of times they do. Some instances they don't. So in this case, like we had the other day, the terrain was really bad. The people who were missing, their cell phones had died. So we needed a lot of resources, and we need a lot of resources out there fast. So typically what will happen is a search and rescue supervisor will get on scene along with canines. They'll initially start doing a search. Sometimes we find them quickly, and sometimes we don't. If it turns into where we don't find them in an hour or so, usually we'll activate a search and rescue call out. And then what that does is it brings in all the resources of everybody who's on search and rescue.
And we have, well over 100 a year missing person reports that a full service search and rescue may not respond to.
Yes.
We may not have to pour all those resources in. A lot of times we'll get missing kids and find them in a back room covered in clothing or in a closet hiding or playing. Y'all respond to those things. But you mentioned the supervisor being notified. They kind of vet that process. And let's make sure we've checked everything we could before we deploy the team of. It's really made up of hundreds of people in different divisions and equipment that come out. So how do you prepare physically and mentally before heading out? Like last week, you knew, hey, I got 4 people missing. It's been several hours. It's getting cold.
Yep.
Treacherous terrain up on the mountains. I mean, I know what I do kind of in my truck heading to a call like that, but I don't have to do what y'all do. So how do you physically and mentally prepare for that as you head to that call, head to that initial scene to start setting up for that?
Yeah, so like on search and rescue, so we have multiple supervisors, and usually what we'll do is we'll each have a task of doing something. You have to have somebody, keeping up with who's out there. You got to have somebody coordinating with other agencies. Like we always had the fire department will come out.
Sure.
We had to get sled involved, helicopters. We have drones, dogs. You have to make sure we have EMS involved. So when you're going to something like that, I start thinking as an investigator because that's my background. So I start looking at ways we might be able to locate these people with technology,
right.
Communicating with the family members to find out if they can provide any information to us that might help. So it's obviously while you're on your way, you're thinking about a lot. And then when you get there, you got to put those actions into play.
What types of terrain and environments do you think are most challenging from what you've seen so far? I mean, I think back to one young man that was in his 20s who was on the spectrum for autism, and he did not want to be found. He wanted to be by himself. Yep. Very cold and rainy that day, and they were kind of in the wood lines, and I remember us searching for him all night, and that was pretty tough not having that last location really or direction of travel he may have went from. But this last week presented a whole nother set of problems just by environment. So what was that one of the toughest you've seen, or how does that compare?
Yeah, that was from the ones I've been on. That was a pretty tough one. I don't know if you remember earlier in this year, we had the older gentleman that got lost in Picone County, and that was a 5-day search. Right. And I mean, these guys that are on this team, they go out in the woods. I mean, they're out there hours. I mean, we had people on this one that were there for they didn't go home and go to sleep. So,
I think it's
a process.
This is not a knock on the news, but the media shows some clips and highlights that they play, obviously to like a tease to get people to watch the news. Yep. They never show the men and women coming out of the woods, wet, covered in mud, cold, pulling each other up from those ravines and all those things. But they're always standing around filming that, but they never show it. So that you're right, that's pretty unique. And you mentioned this earlier. I mean, I'm amazed at the coordination between, the air units, the ground units on the ground, the K9 units, drones, all those resources, and then you add in other agencies, emergency management, the fire departments. I can't tell you how many people call and want to volunteer to help look for these folks. And we don't need more problems. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, you got people who are trained to go out and do this job, and people just want to be helpful. But a lot of times those folks can hinder what search and rescue is trying to do to search certain areas. So what do you see as far as folks working together and the coordination of that? How difficult does that become, or are we trained enough that it just kind of works out?
I don't know if it's really difficult. We do a good they do a good job. Every unit or agency that comes out there and helps. I thought this last one was great. Coordinate with everybody. I mean, we had helicopters from different agencies. We had the National Guard helicopter that had to extract the people out. I don't think a lot of people know that.
The HART team.
We had to fly that. We had to go in there and fly them out. Most of the time when we have other agencies involved, it goes very well. And it's a big help for us because we're limited on the number of people we have.
And we go out and help other agencies.
Yes.
You mentioned Pickens and Picone, and anybody who called us, we have mutual aid agreements with that calls us to use some resources. Obviously, at that moment, the priority is locating these people quickly as possible, rendering aid to them, whatever they need. So y'all go into different counties and have to have a really great relationship with those folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't go in to take over. We just go in to assist.
I mean, Oconee County came out and helped us. I mean, we've helped them, and they have a good team too. So
I had a number of sheriffs call me and say, hey, what can we do to help you? Number of police chiefs call and say, hey, what do we got that we can assist y'all with? So, I don't think people see the behind-the-scenes work that goes into law enforcement, not just working on these cases, but maybe a homicide or property crimes cases that cross lines or whatever. We're very fortunate to work and live where we do to have that relationship. Is there a particular mission that stands out in your mind that is just especially memorable, either because it was difficult or it was so rewarding, maybe it had an outcome you weren't expecting? Does any of those stand out in your mind?
I think earlier this year in Oconee County, a 5-day search, I don't think people realize, we had guys that were out there 5 day, working hour upon hour, not giving up. The odds were stacked against us.
Watching some drone footage and body camera footage, that was pretty amazing.
Crazy.
That this guy's laying in the woods after 5 days. Alive.
Yeah.
Medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, pretty. Certainly, that would fall under rewarding, no doubt.
Yeah.
So
I think the guys that were involved in that search, that really meant a lot to them when they found them. But it also goes into play, like you talked about, where they do the training that these guys do. Our search and rescue team trains every other week, 8 hours a day, night and day.
You bring up a great point when you talk about sacrifice people make to volunteer for special teams.
Yeah.
And people don't understand or don't know. They would certainly understand if they do know, but what kind of training does somebody on search and rescue go through?
These guys, the dogs, they're training every week with their handlers. The guys who are on search and rescue, this is a secondary job to them. So not only are they doing this, they're also doing, uniform patrol. They're doing other things at the sheriff's office. And they're taking their time on their days off, coming in, putting an extra 8 hours in. And it's, they're laying trails, doing tracking missions. They go to classes. They've been out of state to do water rescue stuff. They're dedicated. They want to do it. And they do a great job at it.
And search and rescue is not part of our budget. It's not funded by the county. A lot of donations come in, and y'all go out and raise a lot of money for things you need, and the public's great at donating to our Greenville County Sheriff's Office Foundation. And a lot of people specifically want that to go to search and rescue. What advancements in technology do you think have most improved the search and rescue work here in the last 5-7 years?
I know we use an app that we track. We're able to track all SARTOPO, because CalTopo, SARTOPO. So every deputy has it. We're able to track locations of where they're searching. We're able to grid that out. Lieutenant Kastner, who's on search and rescue, is like a wizard with this computer stuff.
Sure.
And if people would know the work that goes into that and coordinating, gridding off areas of search with technology, and using this person might only go this many miles. It's insane.
And those folks know. They know how to use certain equipment. You have people who are very talented at doing certain things.
Absolutely.
And y'all do a great job of finding those folks and putting them in a position to be successful for the sheriff's office. So I was amazed to see some of the technology and, to see SARTOPO work. And just the other day, you got two groups searching two different grids, and those folks were kind of found in the middle of that. Just happened to be in the command post when that took place. But all the technology coming together is great. It's awesome, but nothing beats good old-fashioned police work and boots on the ground, and those folks that are willing to put those hours in voluntarily to find people. So I get it. Talking to the public out here that might be listening, what do you think what's the most commonly made mistakes that lead to people becoming lost or stranded, whether they're hiking, maybe they're taking a day off or afternoon to go hiking or whatever, or somebody like you mentioned with dementia, Alzheimer's. We have safe outcomes and on our website and encourage people to register those folks on there. But is there what mistakes do you see that people make to find themselves in a bad situation like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is a lot of times people try to find their family members on their own, and it kind of delays our search.
Sure.
And so
we get a lot of people that may not call us for 2 or 3 hours after that person's
2 or 3
missing,
hours. It might even be a couple of days.
Right.
Sometimes people just think, oh, they went missing, and we're always going to respond to a missing person call. That's what we do here, and we're going to find you. We have a good track record at doing that. But like if somebody goes missing, family member, immediately call us. While we're responding, if you happen to find them, guess what? We'll show up and we'll leave.
That's right.
But we need to get there as soon as possible because we need to get the resources out there. Because the longer it takes us to get there, the further these people get away.
Right, and the harder they are to locate.
Exactly.
And it expands that scene you were talking about earlier, which requires more people, more area to cover. So certainly makes it tough.
And then older population with mental issues, Alzheimer's, dementia. I know that's a tricky situation a lot of times. A lot of family members, their parents don't want you to take their cars from them, don't want you to take their keys. And they don't need to be driving. And that's a lot of times they get lost. And luckily we have things like technology-wise, like flock cameras that we're able to locate these people and things like that. But some things that you could do, Life 360 on their phone, making sure their phones are charged.
Making sure they have a phone.
Making sure they have a phone.
Yeah.
You can even, if you don't want to take their car from them, disconnect their battery.
Right.
Things like that you're not.
Nobody wants to be the bad guy
No.
in the family and have mom or dad or whatever the case may be, kind of be mad at them. But we've, looked for some runaways that parents have had the Apple AirTag and those type things in book bags and shoes and all. It's been a huge help for those folks. So what are if you had to make a list of top safety tips for anyone that was going hiking specifically, or maybe, exploring around in a certain area of their neighborhood, wooded area, whatever the case, if you had to make a list of those top safety tips, what would be at the top of that?
For one is a lot of times we run into with people that go missing in the mountains that are hiking with family members. For one, they might not know the trail too well. So go to a trail that might not be as hard if you're just starting off. I understand people want to go out with their family and hike, and that's great. But make sure you're going to one that is not treacherous or you can get lost. Two is a lot of times when this happens, people's cell phones are dead. Case in point here,
that way, yeah.
Every time they die in the middle of, we're trying to find them. Buy a portable battery pack. They're cheap. Get one on Amazon, probably $10-15. Take it with you just in case. That way you have a backup to charge your phone. Have some water, have some snacks. And I know like the other day when they went hiking, it was 70 degrees. Well, guess what? The next day was 40 and raining.
Right.
And they were without warm clothes. So it's not a bad idea to pack, some long sleeves just in case something like this were to happen.
And what, medical issues somebody has, or, they're diabetic and don't have their insulin, or whatever the case may be. Yep. I mean, they had made no provisions really.
Let your family members know where you're at. Tell them exactly when you get there, hey, we're here. That way we're not trying to look. A lot of times we have to find where your car's at. We don't even, that's a hard task too.
Yeah, just getting that starting point up there and figure out where to start from.
Yep.
I think it's also pretty unique that people don't check with somebody. Like there were park rangers up there in that particular case that could have easily handed them a map and said, these trails are closed because of the hurricane. We still hadn't cleaned that up. There's a lot of debris on the ground. Stay away from this area. And this is where you are. I think that's what led to them really getting kind of turned around. They got on a trail that was closed and had been grown over and trees down and all those things and could never get themselves back on the main trail that took them down to that area. So if one thing was going to stick out and people were going to take with them, what would you want that to be?
I think the biggest thing is I like people to understand. I think a lot of people do, and some don't, is how dedicated the men and women of sheriff's office are to certain tasks. And these guys go in here and they put so many hours overtime to do this. They come out, they have to leave their families. It's a lot. And I think I'd like people to understand how much dedication goes into this.
Well, I mean, you couldn't be more right. And that's one of the reasons we started this in this format. We've always tried to highlight folks.
Yep.
Everybody does such a wonderful job. But getting that information out to the public, it goes further than an awards banquet. This is, it's important for the public to see what their sheriff's office does for them, what they're willing to do for them, what sacrifices they make, and what the public pays for. I mean, it's not just, we hear it all the time, but that, hey, we pay your salary, do this, do that. And tax dollars do pay our salary, but these type things come from donations, whether it's our K-9 program, our SWAT team, our search and rescue, those kind of extra things we only have because people are willing to give, and we're very thankful for that. So, Lieutenant, great to have you. Thank you for sharing some very important information today that really you have to get from the inside. Like, I don't want to be the guy just passing along information because y'all are the ones that do the work, and I think that was important, and we look forward to having more folks on here that have firsthand knowledge, whether it be the homicide unit, the cold case unit, uniform patrol, community action team, traffic, our budget process. We'll get back into that. But thank you for keeping our families safe, and thank you for putting in the work. Thank you for your dedication, your team's dedication. You're a great leader here at the Sheriff's Office, and we look forward to having more folks on.
Thanks, sir.
So thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for watching. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Make sure you like and share our page. Christmas time is around the corner, and I hope everybody had a very blessed Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas. God bless you and your families, and please stay safe, and give us a call if we can help you. Thank you for visiting our Roll Call podcast.